it would be that it's obvious to me that you found well-being even in prison. And so how did you do it?
I had a mentor, as you know, Michael Santos, who was serving a 45-year prison sentence. And when I surrendered, I did what some defendants do, which is blame and excuse my conduct, blame my co-defendant, my co-conspirator, my partner who I thought should have been indicted, UBS, everyone but myself. And through a very difficult questioning, he helped me understand the value of introspection and thinking about the real motivations that led me here. And he encouraged me to find a level of perspective. In other words, learning from people who had it worse, whether it's Viktor Frankl, someone who saw his family summarily get executed in the concentration camps, or Mandela served 27 years wrongfully convicted, or Michael serving 45 years for a nonviolent drug crime. And through that analysis and introspection, I began to feel a sense of gratitude for what remained rather than obsess over all that I had lost. And those thoughts began to carry me through my journey. And I'm grateful that I had a mentor that helped get me there. And I fear without that, I'd have spent my prison term lamenting over the injustice that I thought was my life. And that was the transformation for me.
Yeah, what a great answer, right? And so you brought up Viktor Frankl, and he's all about meaning and purpose, obviously. And so if I had to argue as an observer, I would say that you found meaning and purpose through the thought that you could be helping others to, have different experiences that you had, right? Because the whole definition of meaning and purpose is serving and belonging to something bigger than yourself. And another part of that well-being that you brought up is that relationship with Michael, right? And positive relationships is a huge part of well-being. And of course, the only way to have positive relationships is to be willing to be in a positive relationship and do your part, right? Another part of well-being, is engagement, and that ability to get wrapped up in something to the point where you lose track of time, right? And I would argue that you probably did a lot of that starting in prison and continuing afterwards, getting wrapped up in your work to the point where it's not even work, where you just lose time. And the same thing, goes for accomplishments. You mentioned gratitude and positive emotion, and that whole idea of counting your blessings. When you do those things, you focus outward and you focus on others. You don't focus inward. And an inward focus and a focus on self, I think if there is a devil, that's probably it. And so now if you look at defendants who don't do so well, combined with their fear of losing everything and the fear of unknown of what's to come, if they're too embarrassed and they lose all their positive relationships because they've lost whatever it is they were doing before, the charges, and if they've lost their engagement, which is whatever they were working on all that time, and now that's gone, and they've lost whatever their meaning and purpose was, and they're hiding inside with the blinds pulled, and of course they've lost all those positive emotions. I mean, even stuff like awe and admiring, what's out there in nature, and all of those require looking out, not looking in. But if you're fixated in your own mind, spiraling around it, the reason I bring this up is because, like depression and all the rest, that's the bad stuff. But even if you remove the bad stuff, if you consider it like a number line, -10 to +10, even if you remove all that bad stuff, you're at zero, emptiness. That well-being part is that whole 0 to +10 part, and so there's really two prongs to this. One, sure, is remove the bad, but two is add the good.